All right. So here we go. Let me get this up. Hopefully this works. Oh, if I don't want any technical, okay. Looks like we're good. All right. So, what's up, man? How you doing? So anyway, now that I can, I think, well, there's still a lot of bullshit going on, but I think it's safe to come out and stop talking about it. Um, so I want to talk about a little bit about Vegas, man. I mean, shit, you know, regardless of whether I put videos out, I'm still looking at all that stuff and dealing with all that stuff. And just wanted to come on here and, let's see, we got cool, man. Um, just thought that, I saw another video out there with someone talking about questions they have with Vegas, and I still have a shit ton. Still have a lot, man. Still have a lot of things that kind of don't make sense. Some of them do make sense. Some of them I can fit pieces together, but still kind of really don't make sense. Um, maybe missing evidence, stuff like that. So I figured I'd just come out and, throw some of this stuff together. I know a lot of people are still working on some of this stuff. Some of the people, I'm going to try not to step on any toes here from things that other people are dealing with that I still talk to once in a while. But, again, I don't watch too much. People, somebody sends me an email saying, hey, you need to watch this or watch that, then, yeah, I'll check it out. But, and I know most people, know at this point that I actually went to Vegas, stayed at the Mandalay Bay. It was interesting. And I'll be honest, that actually brought up even more questions, but I'll get into that in a little bit. So one of the things that I always have a problem with, that I still have a problem with is everything related to Campos, right? That's first thing that always comes to mind. Campos, this fucking guy. And the thing with Campos, is the problem with Campos, this fucking security guard, is his timeline. Everything about his timeline. Everything about his timeline is broken. Try not to curse as much as I can, but everything about his timeline is a mess. And as far as he goes, if I always tell people, if you sat here and you looked at the evidence that they have provided to us, not the timeline itself, but you look at the evidence and you try to make out your own timeline of the evidence, as far as the facts have been given to us, his statement, the bullshit he said on the Ellen show, stuff like that, and you go through and you look at all that and you write out a timeline, and then you look at the timeline that was actually in the report, the actual timeline for what happened. How would they look? How similar would they be versus how different would they be? And to me, it's a mess. It's an absolute mess. Now, there are only two people, really, that know what happened when Shuck was up there, necessarily. As far as in that hallway at the time of, everything going down. And I think my computer just crashed. That's interesting. I think my computer just completely fucking crashed. Well, hopefully I'm still alive. Yeah, it did crash. But it looks like I'm still going, so I'll keep going. Anyway, so only two people, realistically, that knew what had happened when Campos was up there. That was Campos and Paddock, to a point. Of course, Paddock, we can't ask him questions at this point. That party's over. But, we still have, of course, Campos is out there running around somewhere. Sorry, man. I'm trying to get my computer back up and running. I don't know why this thing likes to shut down. And so I love this, man. I love how this computer loves just randomly shutting down. What a piece of shit. Anyways, let me see. It looks like I love how this computer loves just random. Okay, there we go. All right. So anyway, so so you got Paddock and you got Campos, of course. You also have the lady that was in room 130. That there's reports of her actually coming out of her room. By the way, sorry for the dog barking. There's nothing I can do about that. It's the neighbor's, not mine. But you got Paddock. You got Paddock. You got Campos. You got this lady that supposedly was in 130. I guess there's a little bit about that, but of course she only got a brief glimpse. It's not really a timeline. Nothing you could throw a timeline around. You got Shuck, who came in later, supposedly. I don't know, fucking Shuck. But you do have that. The thing is, you look at Campos's his statements, and they really don't seem to match up with the legitimate timeline, the actual fucking timeline of what they're saying happened here. Let me see if I can get. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Apple is great. Apple seems to love shutting down when I go live. So, it's always been a question to me, like, why the timeline? How is this? How is this timeline? How was this generated? How was this created? It would be interesting to me to see who actually put that timeline together. We don't. I guess we don't really know. Who put that in the report in the fashion that they put it in the report? Who created that timeline? Who made that? Made that timeline? Because obviously, obviously with the information they've been giving to us with Campos, there's too many conflicts for it to actually really make any sense. So pretty much anything with Campos, did he go upstairs? Did he go downstairs? A lot of stuff like that. And what happened while he was up there? That's something we don't know. That's something we will probably never know. The way they rushed him off to the Aria and let him go down to Mexico, visit his family, all that sort of stuff, and hid him from the public. And I'm guessing that's for a reason. What is that reason? Was there something more? The guy go bang on the door? I kind of doubt it. Looks like he was standing in front of, what was that, 129, I believe it was, when he was actually shot at. The evidence came out later, kind of, matches up to that, since that alcove in front of 129 was chewed the fuck up, and it looks like Paddock, blasted at him, when he was standing in front of that 129. Now, it's interesting to me to put yourself in the shoes of Campos in that fucking room, in that hallway at the time, and then to try and understand what that would have looked like, what that would have what would have went down there, right? So and I've said this before, a lot of this stuff is regurgitated information that I've said in random videos from here and there, but Campos standing in that hallway. Now, how long would it take, somebody's brain, to understand what is actually happening? When, if this is legit and he's standing in front of 129, which I believe that was legit when he started getting shot at, due to the fact that there were 11, bullet strikes in the alcove of 129. I think the right room is at 130. God, man, Yeah, it was 129. Yeah, it would have been 129 because that would have been even numbers. Um, as he's standing in front of that 129, the door that he was meant to go check in the first place, you do have 11 bullet strikes within that. I love it. My computer just shut down again. You do have 11 strikes within that, in that door, in that alcove in front of that door. So that tells me that was probably legit. That's probably where you're standing. But I mean, think about it. You're in that room. All of a sudden, these bullets start flying through this door. How long does it take the human brain? I mean, it's we're talking fractions of a second here. For the human brain to actually realize that, oh my God, I'm being shot at. You start seeing the wall in front of you get chewed up by bullets. Apparently, how long does it take the human brain to actually figure out? Well, those are fucking bullets coming out. Hitting this wall, and they're coming at me. To suddenly, turning, spinning around, and jamming down that fucking hallway. And what kind of brain process got him to actually stop, midway down that hallway? And I'll tell you, man, walking down those hallways, those fuckers are long. Those are long. The pictures that we see do not do them justice, man. Those hallways are long fucking hallways. I forget exactly how many feet they are. I looked it up at one point. But yeah, it's kind of crazy, and so to me, it's kind of interesting, and I think this computer doesn't like Google. I think that's what's happening. But to me, that's kind of an interesting thing, to kind of try and think about. The timeline's broken on Campos, right? We have no basis. From what they've given us, the statements of Campos and so forth and so on. Because again, Campos was the only one that knows what Campos did while he was up there. There is no cameras up there. There's really no. There is no evidence that I can even imagine that could tell you when Campos came out of that doorway into the alcove, or out from the foyer into the actual hallway. How many rounds have been shot out at the event at that point, and so forth and so on. And let's see. Sorry, I'm having all kinds of freaking technical issues, man, because Apple seems to not like fucking Chrome. It likes to crash when Chrome's up. Interesting stuff. So anyway, basically anything around Campos is a mess. That whole timeline is a mess. When they say in the report that a certain amount of rounds were fired at the venue, of course, volume. When you had a certain amount of rounds fired at the venue, all this sort of stuff, there is no basis within his statement to say, at what time during the volleys. Again, we're talking about seconds. We're not talking about minutes here. So even if you have a timeline of when he made the call in the foyer from the time he went outside of the foyer into the hallway, we don't fucking know. We don't know how many seconds passed between that. We don't know if minutes passed between that. We just don't know. So the rapid drilling sounds, all that bullshit that he says, I mean, rapid drilling sounds a lot different from Shuck's description of a jackhammer at the end of the hall. So there's problems with Campos all around. Campos is a fucking mess. Shuck's another one, and I've always had issues with Shuck, man. I never liked anything dealing with Shuck, man. And something hit him in the back, right? Something hit Shuck in the back. What the fuck hit him in the back, man? Because we look at the evidence, and I try to look it up before I came on here, and I can't even find the damn thing anymore. But I know it's out there. It's out there somewhere. And I did videos on this back in the day, but Shuck was hit in the back supposedly with something hard enough for him to feel it, with all the adrenaline pumping and the fear going through this fucking guy as he's trying to get into, I forget what door that was, 119 or something like that. This guy at this point knows he's shot at. Here's a jackhammer at the end of the hall, or he's being shot at. Here's a jackhammer at the end of the hall. If you look at that report, there weren't any bullets that hit that side of the hallway. Really, there was one that hit, I believe, door around door 105, which is all the way at the end of the hallway. This guy was halfway in the middle. And again, those are long hallways. Those hallways are no joke. So that's a long distance. And then and that line of sight is it's quite a ways away from him. It didn't look like it was aimed at him. And then you had a bunch of bullets hitting the alcove of 129. That's not nowhere near where Schuck was, and most likely those were before Schuck even got up there, because that's supposedly where Campos was when the shooting started down the hallway, before Schuck was even in the picture. So what hit Schuck in the back? What could have hit him hard enough to make him realize that he'd been hit? What the fuck was that? I don't see what it even possibly could have been. You do have a lot of, bullets that hit, lateral to him on the opposite side of the hallway, but, it's not a bullet that hit him. It's not, most likely not shrapnel that hit him. Nothing went through him, pierced him, or anything of that nature. And he wasn't wearing body armor, so that didn't happen. The only thing that I can imagine, that I can say that I guess possible, is a piece of fucking drywall chipped off of the wall on the other side of the hallway there. Because Schuck, realistically, if you look at it, was not shot at. He was not shot at all. That side of the hallway did not get chewed up. The other side of the hallway got chewed up, which matches up to where Campos was. Campos was, where the alcove he was hiding in, that did take some strikes. The alcove where he originally was supposedly checking on the door, that took some strikes. But nothing on that side of the hallway took any strikes past really 129. I believe 105 was the other room where something hit further down that hallway. There were a couple strikes that hit in the middle of the hallway, but what piece of carpet came up and nailed him? So drywall, man, it's possible that drywall moved laterally across this hallway and hit him in the back. And to me, it's hard to imagine that. It's hard to imagine that a piece of drywall would have chipped off from a bullet strike, move laterally across that hallway, and hit this guy in the back with enough force to override whatever adrenaline fear was pumping through this guy for him to actually feel it. I always had a problem with that. I always had an issue with that. They never explained what actually hit him in the back. Just something did. To me, it's a little strange. I wonder, Schuck, if he had a MasterCard, why didn't he get in that room? Why, maybe they had the deadbolt, at the top, that little chain fucking thing, which over at Mandalay Bay, when I was there, it wasn't a chain, it was a bar. But maybe that thing was latched. Maybe he actually opened that door up, couldn't get in. So, but later it did say he was handing out fucking master keys or some shit, because this guy's a fucking hero and shit. But there I go cursing again, man. My Tourette's is taking over. But so, what happened there, right? What happened with Schuck? There's all kinds of fucking issues. And again, he said he heard a jackhammer. Campos said it was drilling. Is Campos fucking deaf or something? What's going on with that? That question, that puts questions into the Campos story of the drilling noises being actual gunfire. So another thing, moving on, from Schuck and Campos, the opening shots, the first shots we hear during the any old Barstool solo or whatever. Those opening shots. Now, there were, I believe, 9 shots. I believe what was that? Was that Fire and Rescue that was saying that, or was that the medical? I think it was Fire and Rescue that was saying that in their thing. So they were saying that there were 9 opening shots, I believe. This is something I've been saying since the beginning. A lot of people like to say there were six because you only hear six sonic cracks, but if you go off the muzzle blast, we're talking nine. We're not talking six. So, that calls into question, right? That means we have three shots that we can't account for. Of course, the six sonic cracks you hear. That leaves three shots that you don't hear sonic cracks for. Where did those shots go? Where did those fucking land? Where were they fired at? Now, it's possible, again, a lot of this, I can come up with my own ideology of what happened, but, it's possible that he was just warming up his bump stock skills there, and those went high, and those went really high, and probably landed in the dirt field across from the venue. I mean, to me that's possible, but nevertheless, if you look at that, we have six. Someone's having a party, man. You're gonna hear that shit in the background. But apparently, you have six sonic cracks within the venue that we can hear, whether you're looking at the VIP side or the Tall Ace Spades video, which I forget what gate that was. But anyways, in front of that gate there, Coca-Cola booths, stuff like that. You do have one that looks like it actually struck somebody inside in those Coca-Cola booths. If you watch the video. So I believe one of those we can actually trace exactly where that hit. But, other than that, we got three bullets, three, sonic cracks that are unaccounted for. Now, of course, the vehicle, something no one's been able to really put anything into is the tannerite that was in the vehicle. The clips that were in the vehicle. So that's, there's all kinds of speculation behind that. We've heard everything from, God, I think one person said that the plan was to take that vehicle to Luxor and shoot it at the Luxor. I mean, I've never heard anything to back that up. Never heard anything to back up the idea that he was going to park that thing in front of those, the fuel tanks, and try to blast the side of the fuel tanks out. Honestly, I don't think that was the case. I really don't think that was the case. You think about it, this guy is going to park a vehicle with a small bag inside full of this tannerite shit. And he's going to park that thing somewhere, and he's going to have to shoot one. He's going to have to shoot. I mean, this guy couldn't even hit Campos through a fucking door. And, we're expecting him to hit a freaking bag inside of a vehicle in the blind like that. I don't see that happening. I mean, those bags weren't that fucking big. So, I mean, yeah, you could say it's possible. He put the bag in a certain spot. He could have, he could have spray painted an X on the side of the thing to say where exactly he had to hit that vehicle. But personally, I don't know. I have issues with the ideology behind that. I think that's a stupid idea if that's actually the idea that was set place by him. I'm trying to read what you're saying here. I was wondering why anyone would let valet park or park yourself when your vehicle's full of evidence. I don't know what you mean there. I mean, none of this is evidence until after the event. After the event, I mean, it was self-park. So I don't know what you mean there. Anyways, so that's to me that's an issue, man. Tannerite in the fucking vehicle, man. What are you gonna do with that shit? And then you had clips in the vehicles. You had bullets in the vehicle. What was the point of that? That tells me that the idea of him parking this thing in front of something and trying to shoot the tannerite through the vehicle, it just doesn't really work. At least not with me. I don't see that as being a viable strategy for anything. I guess, it's possible he could have, taken those bags, painted those bags in a bright fucking orange, maybe got a spray can, sprayed some orange on them, and threw them somewhere, and threw them up there at the tanks and blasted the bags themselves. But then again, if you're going to take a dark black bag and you're going to go set it in some dirt in front of a silo, or, well, a fence, because he wouldn't have gotten over that fence. I don't think Paddock was the kind of guy to scale a fence. So, and I don't think, throwing it over that fence was a viable option for an old man like that. But then again, if you're going to throw a black fucking bag, because I believe the bag was a dark color, over a fence into some dirt, are you really going to see that, from that distance? Yep, and I just crashed again. All right. Well, as long as it's running. So to me, that's an issue. The tannerite in the vehicle. I don't see that as something that. All right, I'm having a party next door. I don't see that as being a, being something as far as him shooting at the vehicle, shooting a bag inside of a fucking vehicle. That's a little extreme. That's crazy. That goes into some heavy conspiracy that I just don't think fits. Yeah, I really don't. Okay, I see where you're going with there. Wouldn't leave anything in my vehicle that I was afraid someone would break in and just steal, just on a normal day. Yeah, possibly. The odds are, he was an odds man. You got better chances of winning the lottery than your car being broken into that day within that parking garage. But, and valet even less so. The valet area, I believe, those are usually, you got people running in and out of those all day long, parking cars and stuff like that, back when Vegas was actually a busy place. So one other thing that was found in that vehicle that I found was interesting, was there was a empty, I think it was empty. They didn't say there was anything in it, but it said there was a GPS box, a Garmin GPS box, but in the trunk of the vehicle, in the cubby hole in the trunk of the vehicle. So, stashed away. Now, I don't know if Paddock doesn't seem the kind of guy, his car wasn't a mess. Didn't look like he was living in that thing. His little Chrysler Pacifica there. So, that GPS box, where's that GPS at? What was he using that GPS for? What is that about? Now, this could have been, from a previous outing that he had somewhere in the desert. Who knows? But where's that GPS at? What was that used for? Because, it's not a GPS. It doesn't look like it was a GPS he was using for his vehicle to drive places. I guess it could have been, but, as I look at it, I'm thinking, well, why wouldn't it be in the front seat, right? You're going to open a box, open up your trunk, open a box with a GPS, and then carry it to your front seat. I guess you could. It does, it is a possibility, but, that thing was found in the trunk. So that's, to me, that was interesting. He's got a Garmin GPS running around somewhere, and there's going to be evidence on that GPS wherever it is, wherever they seem to find it. Now, I didn't look through the stuff they took from the houses. I haven't seen that in a very, very long time. A lot of this stuff is, a lot of that older evidence, I haven't had a chance to look at in quite a while. So it's possible they picked that up at the house, but hell, man, what was on that GPS? That's something else that I think would be kind of interesting to see. So another thing, and you're kind of touching on this. Why did he bring a bunch of bags in through a bellman and then move his vehicle, to South Park so that he could carry other bags on his own? Why not just throw everything on the damn bellman and have him take them up? Now, I believe his interview with his brother, I forget what his name is, not Eric, but the other brother, said that, Stephen was basically, he didn't say lazy. I think he said he was explaining him as pampered. that he didn't do anything himself. He had, basically the hotels do everything for him and all that sort of shit. So, you know, why would he, why would he bring the car? And this is on the 30th and on the 1st. Why would he bring the car to a bellman, have the bellman take a bunch of luggage, but leave these 2 bags that were, the bellman's going to see? They're obviously in the car. Hell yeah, they're having a good time over there. Someone's having a good time. The celebrating Corona. Having a Corona party. Let me close this door. There you go, Bruce. There, so we get less of the party. So yeah, so that's to me that's an interesting thing, man. What was in those bags? He threw a bunch of bags on a bellman cart, and then he decided to come back and bring 2 bags by himself. Now this had to be premeditated. He had to have a reason for doing that. It's possible those are the bags with the clips in them, stuff like that. Maybe they're heavier. It's possible that, they rattled a little bit. He didn't want anyone asking questions because, he got a bunch of clips rattling around with ammunition in them. I don't fucking know. Maybe he didn't want the bellman throwing them around or something. I don't fucking know. He wanted to make sure that these bags were going to stay in his possession at all times, just in case the bellman said, hey, man, you're not allowed in the service elevator today. We ain't doing that shit today. I don't know. These are just, like I said, these are just questions that I'm having. And let me see if I can get my computer back up. Yeah, I don't know why Apple does not seem to like Chrome. Keeps shutting down on me. All right, well, let's try not opening Chrome. See if that helps the situation. Wow, this thing's like going crazy on me. Huh. All right. Well, at least I can see the chat now. All right, so here's a big one. Here's something that I didn't even notice until I went to actual Vegas. In the footage of Paddock running around the Mandalay Bay, this stuff on the New York Times, and I think it's elsewhere. Where did Paddock check in on that first day? Where was that? Where was that area? I was asked when I went to Vegas to take a picture of the VIP check-in, to take pictures of where Paddock had actually checked in that day, and I did. I got all kinds of video, I got all kinds of pictures, I got all kinds of shit from that place. And I thought I had the picture of it, man. I went down there, I took a picture of the VIP check-in, the regular check-in, the expedited check-in for customers that did their booking online and stuff like that. And none of them match. None of them match that footage. And I know nobody's ever even touched this. And the only other thing that I did not check when I was there is there is a VIP host room. And the VIP host room is on the casino floor. Now, the thing with Mandalay Bay is the entire check-in area is like marble-looking tile. It's marble tile. There's really, I didn't see any carpet in that whole area. The carpet starts at the casino, area. And so, again, the VIP check-in or the VIP host area, which I believe you can check in over there if you're VIP. The host area is on the casino floor. It's a little room off of the casino floor. I believe it's over there by the noodle shop over there and stuff like that. So it is very possible and plausible. It's probably actually, fact, I would think that, that is actually a carpeted area within that room. Yeah, I think, Honestly, I think in the next week or so, I'm going to put something together for the footage because there's actually, I'll be honest with you, that footage is a fucking mess. That New York Times, at least the New York Times part of that footage, there's a couple things where they actually went backwards. And, for one, the parking garage, where they say he's going back and forth from the parking garage, stuff like that. Um, excuse me. They actually mixed up that footage. They actually fucked up that footage. They have it backwards, where instead of going to the parking garage, they have him coming from the parking garage, so forth and so on. And I only realized it because I was there. I saw the floor plan. I understand how what the garage looks like versus what the exit of the elevator looks like into the casino. And so when I was watching it, I kind of had issues with some of that. Now, I may be wrong. I'm going to have to go back and look at it again. It was just kind of a quick glance, and as the guy was talking over it, I'm thinking, "What the fuck are you talking about? You're in the wrong area at this point." And they do look very similar. They look a lot alike. That camera footage was very, very jacked up, and they do darken it a lot, in some areas. So to me, one of these days I'm going to go back. I'm going to look at that and maybe do a video, go frame by, well, not frame by frame, but area by area within that footage and try and explain where he's at. Like I said, but the one thing that's really fucked up is when you look at where he first checks in that first day, the 25th, and you look at the footage on that day, there's a very distinct lamp. I guess, whatever. There's a light up there. And it's very distinct, man. And I haven't seen anything like that in any of the footage that I have from the Mandalay Bay. And then you also have carpeting on the floor. That was an issue, because there is no carpeting in that check-in area. Now, like I said, there is a VIP host area. I did not actually go in. I didn't even realize it existed until I was walking out and the person I was with pointed it out and said, "Hey, that's a VIP, or that's a host area. That's a host check-in area." And I thought, shit, man, I didn't have time to actually go in there and take pictures or any of that sort of bullshit. And I'll go through my footage, see if maybe I got maybe I walked by it at some point within that trip, but I don't believe I did with the camera on. And that is kind of a sketchy area because that is the gambling area. You're not really technically supposed to take, video of that. But where did he check in, right? Where did he check in? Now, I went through every casino I could actually find a check-in desk, photos of a check-in desk, stuff like that. And I couldn't find it. I honestly couldn't find it. Still can't find it. I have no idea where that was. I don't know where this guy was at when he actually checked in there. Now, I guess it's possible, and I'm going to have to go back and look at this too in my footage. I guess it's possible that was the VIP area and that was not actually a check-in desk, and that the timestamp was altered to make it say VIP check-in. But man, the VIP check-in, I know where it's at. I know exactly where it's at. I know where the VIPs check in. And that is, no, that's not there. And it didn't say VIP host area. It said VIP check-in. So that's, I have no idea. I have no idea on that. I don't know where he was in that photo. That is not the normal VIP check-in for what they have in that footage. So that's interesting. That's interesting. So why do you want the 200 wing, man? On the 27th, I believe it was, they have him in the report bitching about getting into the 200 wing. Double doors, the end of the hall. So apparently he wanted, the suite at the end of the hall. From my understanding with that, one other thing. While I'm talking about, when I was there, I noticed, I think at least, man, I don't know, I'm going to have to go back and, really look at it again and get my bearings on it. But when I was actually there, I was looking at the video today of that, and it looks like the windows to his room were actually, or the lights were actually on, which means, yeah, the curtains were open on it and stuff like that. But it looks like, and this is on the 1st of fucking October, man. Which to me is kind of fucking crazy. I don't know if it's a fuck you to everybody or what the fuck they were thinking on that. But I mean, again, they probably took those curtains right out of that room anyway. So if there's a light on, you're probably going to see it from the ground. But it looked like the lights were on in his room. That's kind of fucking eerie and a little strange. Now, what they're doing up there, I don't fucking know. What they're going to make that. I'm guessing that's going to be, some sort of offices for their staff and stuff like that. But that was interesting. That was interesting. So 200 wing, man. Why do you want 200 wing? What's that about? So the 200 wing, what it looks like from there is if he had the same setup, he had suite at the end of the hall. At that point, he's going to be firing out of the bedroom, I believe it is. I believe he'd have to be firing out of the bedroom, and he's very limited on what windows he could actually use to hit the event itself, the Route 91. Now, I don't believe it puts him, I believe, a little further from the Route 91, which to me is odd. But it puts him closer to the airport, right? So, there's that. But calls into question, man. Why would he want the 200 wing? Why was he not happy with the 100 wing? If the actual intent was to shoot up this event, I would think that the 100 wing would be preferable to the 200 wing at the point where he's actually already in the 100 wing. You can look out his window and say, hey, man, I got a better fucking view right here. But yet, here he is bitching about, well, I don't want this. I want the 200 wing. He's trying to change his room. He wasn't happy with it. So that's I mean, and of course, this isn't something that's going to be evidentiary. It's going to be something that's going to be guesswork. It's going to be something that we're going to have to have the LVMPD tell us what they think the motive was behind that, maybe the FBI. But, why the 200 wing? So that's another thing to me that's interesting. I don't know if that room's set up differently. But then again, I just... if the original intent was to shoot up the Route 91, I think, as gruesome as this is to say, I think the 100 wing was a better option than the 200 wing. Maybe he wanted the 200 wing originally because he'd stayed there before, and he saw what he had, going on the 200 wing, the views that he had. But then once he gets to the 100 wing, I would think he would look out those windows and say, hey, this is actually... more advantageous for what he was planning on doing. But yet still, he's already in the room, and now all of a sudden he wants 200 wing. To me, that's awkward. That doesn't make any sense. So the other thing is the reluctance on the original check-in date. Now, this is something we've been talking about a little bit. I've been talking with other people about a little bit. And this is something... of course, Laura Loomer, came up with this. She's the one who broke this. One of the only people that's really broken anything, at this point, man. That girl did a lot of fucking work, man. And it's sad that we lost, we don't have her running around causing mayhem in Vegas anymore. But, the reluctance to admit that the original check-in date was the 25th, and not the 28th. Now, Laura Loomer said in one of her live streams, I believe it was on Periscope, I don't think it was on YouTube, that to her, and I know she has some crazy theories. I know, I don't even agree with her total assessment of what happened. Who wrote those rants for you back in the days? I did. Fuck yeah. I can rant, dude. It's not fucking hard, man. It's not really hard. I'll be honest with you, man. Just sidetrack of what I'm doing, because that's actually interesting. I I did. I did. Basically, the way all that worked is I would watch somebody's videos and I go to work and just come up with shit. And I'd write everything down. I'd script it all out because back then, I didn't feel all that comfortable like I do now, just, talking. So, I would script everything out and I'd come home and I'd just roll out a video. That's the way it worked. That's just my personality. That's how I talk to my friends. That's how I talk to people on a regular basis. I talk a lot of shit. I talk a lot of trash in my personal life. That's just the way it is. And that's just me. But I mean, it's not hard. It's not hard. I'll tell you, a lot of that stuff, coming up with names, coming up with stupid shit. All these, just random ass things that I've come up with. It's not hard, man. And I'll tell you, one of the things that I learned from, let's just say American Pie, right? You take a clean word and you add a fucking bad word to it, right? I'm sitting here looking at a bottle of glue fucker. It turns something completely inert and inane, and it turns it into something really fucked up. And that was kind of how I came up with the words that I came up with. They write a script around it. Some of the videos that people like the most were generally based around people who were based around other people's videos. So I'd watch somebody else's video and go, "What the fuck are you talking about?" I remember the one about about farmers. That was one of my favorites, to be honest with you. Yeah, shit seeker. But that was just a play off your name, to be honest with you. And that was when somebody else was calling you I think dick seeker or something of that nature. And so that's where shit seeker came from. That was kind of, to me, that was kind of lazy. I didn't really care for that one too much. The one I came up with. But a lot of this stuff, to be honest with you, the one that everyone latched onto, shit nozzle, that was something where, yeah, I found something with a nozzle. As I was looking around, I thought, well, what kind of fucked up word can I come up with that? Fuck nozzle, shit nozzle. Shit nozzle sounds good. I didn't even realize at the time when I actually put that out that realistically means asshole. That was not even my intention. That's just something that, later after I said it, I thought, oh my God, dude, that actually, I'm just calling somebody an asshole in a fucking creative way. Sorry, I'm trying to get my computer up there again. I don't know why this thing keeps crashing on me. But so there were a lot of times back then, videos that let's say because at the time it was frustrating, right? Vegas was a little frustrating. Oh, I'm gonna turn the volume down, otherwise I'm gonna hear an echo. There we go. Back then, things were getting a little frustrating, right? At the time when all that was breaking out and all the drama started breaking out and all the bullshit started breaking out and people started factionalizing themselves within this community, it was getting frustrating for me because at that point I had just started running into people who were actually willing to talk about the event. People that I work with. So, it became a very frustrating, emotional time for me because, I was starting to see where, in videos people were, I can actually hear friends of mine screaming in some of the videos, which I didn't realize up until that point that was them, until they showed me. And I actually met the person. I'd actually known him before that, but I didn't realize because he never talked about Vegas that he'd been shot twice in Vegas at this event, and I'd never realized that was this person. So at that time things were getting very they were coming to a head, for me personally. And so that's why a lot of that, to me personally became personal to me. And that's why a lot of that started with me. It really, the factions within this community did, play a little bit of a part. They egged me on. They got me going, which, I'm not too proud of that. But nevertheless, when you start to hear, when you start to hear the real stories of what's happening, and these are people that they're friends of yours, they're people you got to look in the eyes every night, and then you turn on YouTube and you hear somebody calling them fake or calling them actors or calling them bullshit, saying that they didn't experience what they experienced, when these people are missing actually fucking body organs at this point because of what happened. Yeah, that became a little bit of a fucking emotional roller coaster at that point. So that was part of the problem that I had with people, throwing out some of this outlandish shit. And it's fine. People have a right to express their opinions, to do whatever the fuck they want to do. But I just kind of made it a goal to actually just call it out, And maybe I was a little fucking harsh on the way I called it out. I know I was, but for the most part, I was kind of having fun with it. It was, basically trolling. It's the same thing you did, Thumper. I mean, you kind of did the exact same thing where, you started coming after me a little bit, and I thought those videos were actually entertaining. And I guess some other people didn't find it entertaining to kind of go back and forth on this sort of stuff. I know Truth Bomb, one night was showing one of my videos and talking trash over it and all that sort of stuff. And I was watching that, and I actually thought that was hilarious. I thought it was funny. I had a good time with the back and forth. It didn't bother me. And so I guess the big problem was that, not everyone's like me. Not everyone's just going to take this and laugh about it. I'll tell you the video that KL made, I thought was hilarious. I thought that was great. I thought that was just amazing. And, and everybody started, messaging me within, like I said, we were factionalized at the time. There were two different factions of people that were attacking each other. And, of course, I fell on one side of that. And, when she made that video, man, I got a bunch of people, messaging me, through Hangouts and all that sort of stuff, saying, oh, my God, are you going to put up with this? Are you? And I told everybody, I said, this is actually hilarious. I think it's great. It's funny. I mean, that's fucking awesome, and, I didn't have a problem with it. I actually, to be honest with you, I wasn't sure if she was actually being nice, because it was an awkward message, man. The whole big dick thing and all that sort of stuff. It was an awkward message. So, I wasn't sure if she was actually being nice about things, or if she was actually, attacking me, or what the intentions were behind that. I had no fucking idea what that was. I still have that video saved somewhere, man. And, I think it's fucking hilarious. I show people that once in a while when I bring new people into my channel, people that I know personally. I'll show them that video and say, look at this, man. This is, this is something someone made about me. And it's kind of hilarious. But yeah, I wrote all that, man. I did all that myself. I just, and it's, like I said, it's not hard, man. Oh God, what was the I mean, look, I can bash pretty much anybody. It's not that fucking hard, and a lot of times, people were coming up with some extreme shit, some crazy shit. Joe Roscoe is one of those people, man. Joe Roscoe would come out with some shit, and it's just like, what are you doing, dude? What is this? I remember him talking about the mafia and the FBI carrying bodies out of the event. And I'm like, what are you doing? How does that make any sense? And And, so I go make a video about it because I thought it was fucking hilarious. I thought I was like, dude, you're going like way crazy with this shit, to imagine a bunch of fucking, plus he had an amazing, I'm not gonna lie, dude, he's got an amazing voice for this stuff, man. He should be on the radio, really. He should. But, the whole, army met with machine guns and all that sort of, that fucking voice that he had was just like, it was insane. And so, to go out later and just talk about, the army met with machine guns, and the fucking, all that sort of stuff. I dug on a lot of people. Howie was another one. Howie was fairly, well, his theories aren't different. His theories are pretty insane, to be honest with you. That was like a crowdsourcing exercise back in the day, what he was doing, because he was going in there and he was talking, and then people would add on to it. And then all of a sudden, now we got the mafia involved, and now we got the FBI involved. Now they're carrying bodies out of the event, while people are fucking running, like screaming like crazy, getting shot at and all this sort of stuff, and it just, it came to where it was just like, wow, dude, this is crazy. It's so crazy. It's comedy. It's actually funny, and I found it funny. So then I came out and I fucking, did a video like it, just, bashing on it. But, that's just kind of what I did. But I think that guy had, he had an amazing voice for comedy. I think Howie was another one. Howie, he was a character. Howie was, Howie was. God, and I'm going way off track with this. What I plan on doing today, but Howie was another one that Howie was interesting because Howie never had anything to back up what he was saying. All right. And, that's fine, I guess. Who cares? But, honestly, Howie had a personality where he could have actually done something. When I first saw Howie's channel, back before even 10 had said anything about it, Howie came up on my feed one day randomly. It was, just like it did with 10. That's how he found them too. And it was probably about the same time, in fact. And Howie came up on my feed, and I saw this guy, and I'm like, wow, dude, this guy's got a personality. He's all right. And he's got a chance to maybe, do something, Of course, we're in a small pond here. This thing's a very small pond, and it was shrinking at that time. But Howie, the problem he had was, he didn't do a lot of research. He was trying to push videos out. And I realized this a long time ago. It's very hard to push videos out on a daily basis. It's very, very difficult, to actually create a channel like that. That takes a hell of a lot of work. So he ended up in this rut where he was just saying shit and just saying shit, just talking trash, and he would come out and say, oh, I think this is all or I know from my research, which that's another thing, man. When people say my research, that's fuck you. I don't care. That's stupid. But I hate it when people say my research says, the research that I've done says, fuck you. I don't care. We're all fucking reading the same bullshit at this point. But when you come out and say, my research says that this is a false flag. Well, okay. How? Well, you care to elaborate? No, apparently you don't. And so, when you come up with that, you're not saying anything. You're not adding to anything. You're not adding to the conversation at that point, And so, to me, that was the issue I had with Howie. And I think it was just mainly because he was trying to push videos out at a very high rate. And, that wasn't going to work, man, because, back in the day when I was doing like serious fucking videos, back in the day when I was doing serious videos, you would have to go look at footage. whatever footage was out there. You'd have to dig that shit up, and sometimes that took some time to find it, figure out what you were looking at. Yeah, yeah. And then you had to look at the reports. Then you had to see if you could find any statements, witness statements, maybe. You had to cross everything, because I'll be honest with you, the one person that really changed my mind, and and I know people are gonna get pissed off about this, was KL. KL really, back in the day when I didn't even know who the fuck she was, I had no idea who she was. I know there was always drama, surrounding her and 10 and all that bullshit, but I didn't know who the hell she was, dude. She was just a commenter. And she slammed me one day. She just fucking destroyed me in the comments. And that was the first time I ever had to actually come out in another video and say, hey, I was fucking wrong about this. I was completely fucking wrong about this. And the reason I was wrong about that is I sat there and I used another YouTuber as a source. And it was Jake Morphonios. And I repeated something Jake Morphonios had said. And Jake Morphonios had said, I forget what it was exactly, but he had said something about Vegas. And I took it as truth. I figured, okay, Jake Morphonios, this guy's a smart guy. He's got one of the biggest channels out there, man. He's got to know what the fuck he's talking about. And I reiterated something, piggybacked off something he said to, add to it. And, and I made a video about that. And KL put a small comment on that, and it basically said I was wrong. And it destroyed the entire video that I'd done. And so the next day I had to come back and say, hey, man, I was fucking wrong about that shit. I fucked up on that one, man. I took this guy Jake's word that was that I took for granted that he knew what he was talking about. And in reality, it was proven that he didn't. So that was that was something about that. That had nothing to do with drama or any of that sort of bullshit. That was before all that. But yeah, I mean, when people do stuff like that, that was the one thing that bothered me with people like Howie, for instance. He would just say, it was a false flag. All my research indicates it was a false flag. I know my false flags. How do you know your false flags, man? What are you talking about? Why don't you go into your background a little bit here? What, you work for the CIA or some shit like that? I mean, are you some fucking secret agent of some bullshit? I mean, what the fuck, but there was a lot of that going on. So that was kind of where me and him had issues. But honestly, in the beginning when I started bashing on messing with Howie a little bit, was to the point was to basically say, look, bro, what you're doing is wrong and it's not going to lead you anywhere. You have a good channel. You have a personality that everyone likes. You have a possibility to actually, do really well. Even within the small pond that we're swimming around in. Realistically, I think Howie could have actually gone further than anybody else if he would have, not dropped Vegas completely, but just gone into his own ideas of, even conspiracy stuff. It's fine. He could have gone and, right now he could be doing, crazy things with what's going on in the world right now, and, had his own little channel, had his own little empire. I think he would have done very well. But, in the beginning there, that's kind of what I was doing. I was like, hey, man, this isn't going to work, bro, because people like me are going to come out and fucking, put my foot up your ass if you're, with the way you're talking. This isn't going to work for you. I don't think he lost marbles, dude. I think he never had all his marbles, man. I think he was a little fucking nutty, which is why everybody liked him. But that's how that all fucking went down, for the most part. With all the chaos and the drama and the bullshit, there was a lot of that going on. I know there's still some of that going on. There's still a lot of people out there that are, angry at each other and all that sort of stuff. But realistically, it's like I've told people this before, man, and I mean it when I say it, dude. I don't hate people. I don't work that way. I've never really worked that way. So even when I was slamming these people, I didn't hate the people for what they were doing. It just bothered me. It got on my nerves, and so like it's not about hating an individual. It never was about hate. Yeah, I think hate is a fucking very bad thing to have and to deal with. I'm not a Christian by any means, so I'm not going that route. What I'm saying is, you look at people for what they are and what they contribute, and for whatever context you happen to be dealing with those people in. So, your friends, you want them to be decent fucking people. You don't want a person that's going to stab you in the back as some, one of your friends, man. You just don't need that. If you're dealing with a coworker, well, they don't need to be your fucking friend. They don't have to be the nice fuck person in the world. Who gives a shit? As long as they're a good fucking worker. And that's just the way it operates. And with Vegas, I guess in the beginning, dealing with this social experiment, I didn't really understand a lot of the personalities behind this shit. I didn't care. The deal with me was, are you adding to this? Are you subtracting from this? Are you fucking things up? Are you not fucking things up? And yeah, I've been stabbed in the back by just about everybody at this fucking point. Let me tell you. And I've gone after some people that didn't like it, but yeah, I could probably do the Roscoe voice if I really tried, man. But it kills my throat, dude. Oh my god, it's hard to fucking do his voice. And I have to be kind of amped up to do it, but which I'm not right now. But yeah, so like when people were sitting here saying stupid shit like that, and someone would come out and say, well, it was a false flag because I said it's a false flag. Who the fuck are you, man? Who the fuck are you? To be telling me that shit, to tell anybody that shit, man. You're not helping things, man. All you're doing is you're making people fucking look into this false flag shit. Same thing with a lot of the stuff that I disagree with. Let's say LRADs, for instance, right? LRADs. You're not fucking furthering a conversation with fucking LRADs. I'm sorry. That's just my personal shit. LRADs was something someone just came up with. It just appeared magically. There's absolutely zero evidence of something like that. Since there's zero evidence, I mean, let's say there's more evidence right now. There's absolutely more evidence of the window not being broken than the LRADs. And to me, there's no evidence of the windows not being broken other than a dude walking into a room, looking at a window that's got the curtains open, saying, we have curtains open on a window that is not broken. He wasn't lying. It was true. Though that window was not fucking broken, obviously. So, that's where you run into these fucking problems, and LRAD, it never furthered the conversation. A lot of this stuff did. In the early days, throwing out conspiracies made sense. It made a lot of fucking sense because we didn't have any information. We didn't have a report. We didn't have witness statements. We didn't have body cameras. We had nothing but cell phone cameras. And people are looking through these cell phone cameras and coming up with crazy ass shit. And that was fine. And that was fine because nobody knew. Like, nobody had a fucking clue. Where people run into problems within Vegas, the biggest problems that I see, the biggest problems that I've seen with Vegas and a lot of this stuff is people are unwilling to drop bad conspiracies. They're unwilling to change their minds. And if they're unwilling to change their minds, well, then, that's a problem. That's an issue. You're not investigating. You're just fucking pushing your conspiracy out there. And that's with a lot of this stuff. That's where a lot of this shit came from. With the Saudi royal prince, for instance, right? Saudi royal prince. Well, that all came from, the footage at the Tropicana. Well, we found out who that guy was, and he's not the Saudi prince, but people kept pushing that theory. And people are unwilling to drop that theory, even though it's been basically disproven as this guy was just coming from baseball game. He happened to be armed, and he was going to work, and he got called into work. That's what that was, and that's what the whole Saudi Prince thing started off of. People just kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. I have issues with that stuff like that happening. And a lot of this stuff came from things like that. The LRAD came from, I believe it was HDR CFX Cornwall or whatever the fuck. And, he threw out a lot of shit that was like very, very out there, didn't make a lot of sense, just kind of shit that he'd made up. I've always been curious about that guy, because that guy likes to use basically military, military stuff for everything. He seems to know his way around, military technology, but, he seems to be trying to push this military stuff, into this. Now, look, it's possible. It's possible. It's completely fucking possible that some old man went fucking nuts, went up into this room, and decided to shoot people. It's completely fucking possible. It's absolutely fucking possible. The problem is that we have a lot of holes. We have a lot of problems within this investigation, which is kind of what I originally came on here to talk about. We have a lot of problems within this investigation where things don't make sense. The police haven't given us, all the evidence. They haven't given us, enough evidence to even, back up the claims that they're making within this event. And we have a lot of problems within that evidence. So that is where we have issues. And, and that is something that I always wish people would have focused on more than, just saying, oh, I know it was the Saudi Prince and I'm going to fucking prove it, and just go into all kinds of fucking world events and start saying, well, I'm going to tie this to this, to this, to this. I once said, me and, fuck it, I'll say his name, JB. Me and JB one day were bullshitting on, I think it was Hangouts or something at the time. And we're talking. And we're laughing at, I believe it was something, I don't know, it might have been a Roscoe video or something like that. We were kind of cracking up where he was going with it. And because it was some crazy shit. And I don't remember what exactly that theory at the time was. But I sat here and I told him, I said, okay, well, let's take 10 minutes and let's come up with something even more fucked up that actually makes sense. And we kind of did, man. So, and that was, I did a video on this. I think it wasn't very exciting, man. But, because not a lot of people, I think, watched it. But, it was based around Stephen Paddock being a fucking travel agent. Right? Stephen Paddock fucking brings all these rich motherfuckers into the Mandalay Bay. Mandalay Bay is fully aware of it. They know about it. And he's using his comps, put people up in these nice fucking suites up in the Mandalay Bay. He's fucking getting people weapons and stuff like that. Funny thing is, I found out recently that there's actually casino hosts that work this way. There's independent casino hosts, right? They'll get you anything you fucking want, man. Anything you fucking want. And as long as you got the money, right? They make, I believe, I think it's 10 or 15% off of your, I forget what the wording is for it, but you're basically your losses, right? So they actually want you to win. And this is the thing with Vegas, whatever. But basically, you can look him up. I think his name is Steve Sear, and you can watch the interviews with this guy. And it's kind of what he does. And this is kind of the basis behind what me and JB were talking about at the time. This guy, Stephen Paddock, right? This is the big conspiracy theory between us. Stephen Paddock is a travel agent. Now, he uses his comps, right? So it doesn't cost him any money. He puts you up in these fancy fucking rooms. You pay him a certain amount. He flies you out there because he's got his own fucking plane. But then, of course, at this time, he doesn't have his plane. But, back in the day, he had his fucking plane. He'd fly you out to fucking Vegas on a private little airport. It's all fucking fancy. Nobody knows you're even there, and, put you up in this hotel under his fucking name because now you're anonymous, man. You could be the Saudi fucking royal prince at this point. And you're staying up in this nice fancy suite in the Mandalay Bay. And Stephen Paddock's using his comps for you to stay up there. It's not costing him shit. Yeah, maybe it gives you a little bit of his free credits and stuff like that. Gives you a little, maybe gives you an ID for his, him personally. So now you are Stephen Paddock, man. You may be the Saudi royal prince of Saudi Arabia or some bullshit like that. Which, again, this is all bullshit. This is all speculation. This is all shit that I made up in my head. But you could be this. I mean, fuck, you could be a fucking drug runner, dude. You could be a kingpin for the fucking whatever cartel, and Paddock flies you up here. Nobody knows you're even in Vegas, and you have this ID saying that you are Stephen Paddock, man, because it's not hard to get a fake fucking ID, and you're staying up in this fucking room as Stephen fucking Paddock. But one day, he decides this guy wants to go fire a bunch of fucking guns. He gives him a bunch of ammo, throws a bunch of tannerite in the car, says, hey, man, go at it, dude. Here's some tracer rounds to go along with it, man. Go out in the fucking desert as long as you're 50 miles, I believe, away from civilization. You can go at it. You can have fun. You can shoot and blast whatever the fuck you want out in the middle of the fucking desert. And, and here's the car, man. The car's loaded up for you. Just, here's my keys. Have at it, man. Have fun, man. I'm just going to fly back to Mesquite and hang out over there. And, in a week, I'll come pick all my shit up, and then this guy decides to go fucking absolute batshit fucking crazy and start shooting at people in the fucking concert. Stephen Paddock, maybe he was in the hotel at the time. He comes up to the room. The guy fucking shoots him, leaves him in the hotel, fucking runs down that hallway, fucking tells Campos, if you ever say anything, I'm going to fucking murder your ass and your whole family. And then next thing you know, we have a conspiracy. We have a grand conspiracy. And like I said, that took me about 10 minutes to come up with that shit. So, it's not hard to come up with crazy shit. Let's see. So, okay, to get back to fucking talking reality, before I got off of my tangent, because apparently it ain't hard to get me off fucking. And again, there you go. There's a rant for you, dude. Just came up with it right now. It's not hard. It's really not hard. And if I wrote that down, I would have probably taken 3 hours to go back and add some cuss words into it and some creative language. But so that's a good one, man. Who did Paddock have in all his rooms at the Ogden? And overlapping nights in Mandalay Bay. Now, who knows? Who knows? That's something we can't answer. But I'm going to say this, man, and this is something I've said in the past. Paddock had a habit of having more than one room. He didn't always, when he went out to Vegas, we have statements from, I believe it's, I don't know, I think it was a statement of his brother, or it may have been his nephew, who said when he went out to Vegas to meet Paddock at the Wynn, Paddock had multiple rooms. Paddock actually asked them if they wanted to stay in one of his rooms. So, he had multiple rooms. The other room was vacant at the time, apparently, because I don't think he'd have him sleeping with his hookers. But, who knows, man? Maybe that was, we could throw that in there. But, I mean, dude, huge unanswered question, man. Vibrators, dude. 2 vibrators. What is that about? Like, what is that really about, Dan? And I mean, you could see them, you could see the cords coming out of them, right? And I've done my research, man. There are cords like that on certain brands of vibrators that are very, I guess, popular within certain communities. But, you have 2 vibrators in 2 separate suitcases. Now, whose suitcases are those? Now, as a female, I'm not a female, but as a female, I mean, anyone out there can answer this, man. Do you, if you're going to do something dirty like that, man, you're going to get fucking down and dirty with this bullshit, get knees up. If that party's going to start, man, are you going to have the man bring the tools for the job, or are you going to bring your own? It's weird, right? It's weird. It's a weird thought. That there were 2 vibrators in those suitcases. Now, I know, I've gone over in my head, okay, well, maybe this fucking guy grabbed those vibrators because, he's got a bad back. Maybe he slept on those vibrators, man, put them underneath his fucking back, and that was his thing. But I think there's easier tools for that, man, than the magic wands. I think that would make more sense, but I don't know, man. Goofy shit. goofy shit. Whose vibrators were those? Whose bags were those? If those weren't his vibrators, interesting shit. They happen to be in the doorway to 134. Well, not in the doorway itself, but they happen to be right next to the room 134. So was someone else sleeping in 134? Was there a party happening the night before or something like that? Did he kick the girls out and leave their bags behind? I don't know. My head goes all kinds of different fucking directions when it comes to that fucking shit. But again, one thing, like the reluctance of the original check-in date, this was where I left off before I, went off on that fucking rampage for Thumper there set me off. The original check-in date, I remember Laura Loomer saying this, right? And like I said, I think this was in a Periscope thing that she did. She said, what happened before the 28th that they're trying to hide? She said, I think that the true answers behind a lot of this, the questions of this event, lie before the 28th. I think the 28th is what they were trying to hide, is everything that happened before the 28th. So, to me, that was always interesting, man. The Ogden fits in there, the 25th through the 28th, which, I think that makes more sense because, of course, they're trying to hide his check-in date from the Mandalay Bay, not necessarily the Ogden at this point. Of course, you could argue that maybe they didn't want to talk about the Ogden at all. So they're going to consider the Ogden a different trip altogether, and then say that Paddock came back on the 28th to Vegas, and then that's when all this shit broke out. But, to me, it's what happened before the 28th, I think, is going to matter if there is something foul going on here. Now, in the overall perspective of Vegas, the way I see this is there's a lot of money going around. I don't think this is like some crazy CIA psyop fucking bullshit, fucking false flag, garbage. I have a feeling, to me, it seems like this is all based off money, right? Liability, the hotel's liability, something of that nature. The motive of Paddock. The motive of Paddock is everything. If they put out a motive, you could fit all the pieces within that motive. I have a feeling everything would fall into place if you had a motive for Paddock. But of course we don't. So that's a huge fucking problem. I've seen a little bit about the Ogden. He had 3 rooms at one time. I believe he had 2 rooms at another. I believe on one of those days he may have only had 1 room, and I believe that was spread out over a certain amount of days. I was looking at that recently a little bit. Let's see, I don't know where those rooms are within the Ogden for them to be able to say that he was aiming at the Life is Beautiful festival. Let's see. Yeah, I saw that. Okay, so he was with the Asian lady and a blonde lady. Asian and blonde. So, I did see that. I mean, you think this guy didn't have hookers? I mean, really? So hello. So, you think this guy didn't have hookers? I mean, realistically. I listened to, like I said, there's a guy named Steve Cyr, Cyr. If you guys want to look him up, he's got some very interesting interviews. He's a casino host. He's an independent casino host, and he hosts very high end people. Like he openly admits he hosts Larry Flint and Michael Jordan. I think he said he was a host for at one point. And, and he actually goes into like how, the prostitution works and stuff out there. He basically said escorts are not illegal in Vegas, but prostitution is. But to him, when he has to go to court for this bullshit, basically what he said, I introduced a girl who's an escort to a client, and what happened after that has nothing to do with me. Well, he barely had the strength to have sex. It doesn't mean, that doesn't mean he didn't have it, little Viagra going on for other women, not that we're not Mary Lou, man. Maybe he couldn't get it up for Mary Lou anymore, but maybe other women. Mary Lou's a whole nother fucking ball game, man. Because we didn't really hear much from Mary Lou. That's yeah, she's a whole nother can of worms. Where the fuck is Mary? Yeah, I know where she's at. I know where she's living. I know that area. There was just a fire there last night, actually. Some homeless people burned down a fucking building over there. But you know, we haven't heard shit from her. You know, it's the information we have on Mary Lou is very, very limited. That whole thing with her being part of the FBI that was like fucking for like 2 days or whatever. That was a little fucking strange. That was kind of crazy looking. Yeah, that throws some questions into the mix, but how that ended up on there, I don't fucking know. I don't know how they aggregate data or whatever on that site. So, I don't know, man. Mary Lou, I said maybe just couldn't get it up for Mary Lou, man. But he, you get a 24-year-old in that room, maybe he didn't have a problem with that. Yeah, who knows what they gave her, man. Yeah, I don't know. Mary Lou's an interesting character. I'll tell you something that I was doing for a while there. I was kind of going into a little bit of Paddock stuff, and he had some interesting connections, right? He had well, not Mary Lou necessarily. I haven't really looked too much into Mary Lou because there's just not a lot out there for her. But Paddock at one point, and I think it was in 2002, 2001. Paddock owned two places. I think the first one was in Hawthorne, and I believe the second one was, I can't remember. I could look it up right now, but it'd take me a while to look it up, so I'm not going to bore you with that. That dead air. But Paddock owned two places, right? And within 2 years of each other, I think one was in 2002, the other was in 2004. 2002, he bought this place, and the first one wasn't in Hawthorne, but it was somewhere in Los Angeles, right? And Hawthorne's right outside of Los Angeles. I think it's actually part of Los Angeles County, if I remember right. But he had this place somewhere over there in LA, and he owned it with his family. Eric, I think, was on the deed and stuff like that. Not sure. I'd have to go back and look, but I believe that one, that first place did have his family's name on it. And he sold it to a guy named Delator or something like that. And, the realtor was listed on there also. So then 2 years later, and he sold that place at a heavy gain. I think he made $1 million off of that place. And, and he sold it to these two people. They took a loss on it. They took a bath on it a few years later and sold it at a loss for them. But then, he gets into another place. So, okay, yeah. But, I'm going a little bit into this. But then he goes into another place, goes into another, gets into another house, in Hawthorne. I believe with his wife at the time, and sells that place to the same fucking people. To me, that's awkward. And I didn't go any further than that because, I ran out of time, but I didn't go any further into that. But he sold to the same fucking people, the same realtor, the same dude. Now, maybe these people had something going on where they're renting out this property because it turns out that this guy was renting out properties. Whether you rent out $1 million, $1.3 million place, that's I don't know, but so he was doing business with these two people, and I always found that a little strange, man, because usually when you sell a house, you put it on the market, somebody comes and buys it, you don't care who the fuck it is, you don't care who the realtor is, it just doesn't fucking matter. But then, to do it again 2 years later, sell to the same fucking person. Well, apparently you have a relationship with this person. So that's something. Yeah, I know he's a landlord some areas, but those two people who he rented those to. There's an article. There's when I looked him up, there's a some sort of court thing going on with him. The person he sold it to, not Paddock, but the person he sold it to. There's some sort of court thing going on with that guy and that same realtor that says that they supposedly were discriminating. Now, whether they're innocent and guilty of that doesn't fucking matter in this context. But because I didn't even look at the judgment because I don't care, But the only thing that made any sense to me was that this realtor and this dude were, somehow connected because they own properties together. They had different last names, so whatever. But to me, that was interesting. That's something I got to look a little more into. How many more properties like this were happening within that and all that sort of stuff. But it was interesting to me that he'd sold two different houses on two different occasions to, the same people. That's strange. All right. So, so check-in date, original check-in date, being the 28th. What happened between 25th and 28th that would matter, why the multiple phones and the note saying to unplug phones, right? So I know someone else is kind of dealing with a lot of this right here. I've been kind of talking to people about this. Multiple phones, right? And a note saying to unplug phones. Now, most people know that when you unplug phone, it doesn't matter. It still has a charge, right? So who gives a shit? You had a Samsung Galaxy. I don't remember what the other one was. I believe it was an S6, which I think was a phone I had at the time when this all fucking went down. That was a good phone. And but he had a Samsung Galaxy S6, and I don't remember what the other one was. Let me see if I can actually look it up real quick because I think I actually saved this page. So notepad, words, unplugged phone written on it, a white handheld monitor, a black ZTE cell phone, and front desk back with the front and back cameras covered with tape, and a Samsung Galaxy S6 active in a black case. Now, what the third phone is, I think it says later. I'm not seeing it here, though. All right. So what I'm going to say about this, no, I don't. I could find it for you. If you look at it, I know you have shit. I know you have the information on Paddock. I think everyone's got it at this point. If you want to look it up, just look at his properties, and when I believe it was in like 2002, around there, and I believe one of the properties was in Hawthorne, California. You can find it off there. One of the accidental swipes back door was a realtor. Oh, okay. It wasn't. I don't think it was that same person, Garzone or whatever you're talking about. Well, this guy didn't have three phones, right? He had five. So as far as phones go, I mean, he had five, according to. See, I don't remember where I saw that, man. I was just looking at that the other day. He had five numbers, right? So five numbers, five phones. I've tried to put two numbers on a single phone. They don't allow it. So he had five numbers, five phones. I'm guessing. And, what it looks like he was doing with these phones is he was rerouting the numbers throughout the different phones. So he didn't have to carry all five of them. He just wanted the five different numbers, I'm guessing, and probably had a couple sitting in a drawer at home. Although you could also argue that this guy had just these three phones. And again, this is something I haven't really looked into too much, but I guess you could argue that maybe one was a landline at, maybe one was shit. One could have been a landline in Reno. One could have been a landline at Mesquite. I don't know. Or, Mary Lou could have had a phone with her that was in his name, and she could have been over there in, whatever, wherever she went, the Philippines with that phone. So, there's possible that. Um, and here it says it was covered with tape, right? He covered the cameras with tape. This guy was paranoid. This guy was paranoid, and so that puts that into perspective, where this guy did have some paranoia going on with him. So unplug the phones, right? What does that mean? What does that tell a person when you want to unplug your phones? Because technically, you unplug your phones, they're still going to be active. They're still going to have a charge. They're still going to run for however long that phone is going to run with the charge that you left in it. Samsung Galaxy S6, if I remember right, you cannot take that phone apart. You cannot take the battery out of that phone. This black ZTE, I probably should have looked it up before I came on, but I'm not sure if you can unplug that, take the battery out of the phone. The only reason for me to the only reason that makes sense to me to unplug the phones for that note would be to make sure that those phones turn off, right? So that means you would have to have a removable battery, because most phones, when you remove the battery, as long as it's plugged in, it's fine. It's going to work. It's just once you unplug it, that son of a bitch is going to turn off. Yeah, Carson's wife and another guy okay, well, I can find that out for you. Let me see. Because, let's see. Guest card overridden. Well, there's one overridden. So, like, if you're talking about, I love how these things are sideways, man. These fucking idiots. So you have that person. Let's see. And what are we looking at? We're looking at 3, 2, 1, 3, 4. We don't want 1, 3, 4, do we? We want 1, 3, 5 for the most part. Let's see. You got Paddock. I'll try and look it up for you right now. We got McKeon. McKeon was an error. Guest card overridden. A readout was done. It doesn't say that person swiped the card, McKillen. So, that's possible that was just canceled. That was part of the system and canceled. There's Albert Garzon, who did try to swipe into 135. And then we got a bunch of Paddock stuff here. And then we got a bunch of Paddock stuff here. And then we got, Paddock stuff. So 135, you have Garzon. 134, let's see what we got here. Because, I do remember there were a couple names within this. But the problem is, okay, so Manny Sandu. Guest card overridden. See, now that's just an overridden guest card, right? So that could possibly be that, this guy's card was, outdated and they were just doing cleanup. Krista Thornton, that might be who you're talking about. That's not the name on the deed that I was talking about, though. Error, no access to this room. So I believe those are the two people that tried to access his rooms. Was this Krista Thornton and Garzon. I don't believe any of the other ones, because there's also another name on here, this Ghosh Nilan Raj, Mr. whatever the fuck, and that just says guest card canceled. But it just, it did say error. Let's see, what does it say for Krista Thornton? You got me kind of curious now. Error, no access to this room. Huh. And maybe you're right. Maybe that other one was part of, was something. McCann. Okay, Shauna McCann. Error, guest card overridden. Right, so it doesn't say no access to this room. So it doesn't actually say that she was trying to swipe that card. It just says that the card was overridden. And that's interesting. I don't know what that technically means within that. Yeah, you're paranoid. I mean, I do the same thing to a point, but I do it because, I've shown my face on a video before. That's why I do it. But anyways, those not all those are accidental swipes necessarily. Two of them are definitely. Okay, Manny. I'll check it out. But no, that wasn't the name. I believe the guy's name was like Robert or something like that. And then the other one was a female. on those. You can go look it up yourself. I mean, it's not hard to find, really. It's, just in the Paddock report and his property stuff. But just to me, it was interesting that this guy, does have a relationship with these people, because it wasn't just somebody bought a house off him. Who gives a fuck? See you later. Nice to know you. It was 2 years later. Hey man, you want to buy another house from me? It was, interesting. Although it could be that, I mean, maybe they had a business, some sort of business going on. I don't fucking know. It would be interesting to go look at the, and this has got to bore the hell out of so many people talking about this property shit. But, he did have property out there, and I think it was Central Park. Was it Central Park? Was that Texas? I think it was the Central, because he had Central Park, if I remember right, Central Park, Texas, and Central Park, Florida. And I'm not sure if it was Florida to Texas. Might have been Florida. I was looking. No, it was Texas. It was Texas. I was looking up, and I looked up the realtor for his property in Texas. That led to a guy. I forget, his last name was Short, I believe. That guy Short is now like some sort of attorney over there in Texas, I guess. I don't know. But he does have all his listings, from when he was doing property stuff, and Paddock's name is still on there. And I noticed, I think it was Sleep Dep or something like that had a little post on there or some shit. So he'd even seen this, but at that point, he'd owned this property, and I believe it was Central Park Apartments GP1, which is how I kind of got into all this. And if you look at those, the guy has Central Park Apartments GP2, GP3, GP4, GP, and I believe his GP4 is actually a guy named, I think it was Eric Okamoto. And I thought Eric Okamoto, that's an interesting fucking name. And I believe, now I'm starting to doubt myself on this, because, it's weird, because this was, I believe Mary Lou was not an Okamoto, not Mary Lou. I'm sorry, Okamoto was his ex-wife, was Peggy Okamoto. So, this was Peggy's brother, and he owned a property over there in Texas, and he's passed away since, but he owns property out there in Texas, the GP4 or whatever the fuck, under the same realtor that Paddock owned this property for. So, what that means, I don't know. I said I'm boring people, because now I went down from 6 to 2 people. I just started working on the property stuff, so we'll see what that is. So one other thing, while I'm doing this, thanks to Hunter, who opened the door at 9:33 on the night of the first. Who was the person in the hallway? Who was the person that opened that door? I don't believe the whole credit card in the doorway bullshit. I think that's stupid. Especially when there's a deadbolt that works just as well, even better. I think that's kind of a dumb way of doing things. So, I don't believe in the whole credit card in the door. But, that is definitely an interesting, especially considering that is the night of the event, to understand who opened that door. And at that point, there's got to be guns laying all over the place. Got to be getting ready, at that point. So, that would definitely put, an accomplice on the list if we're talking about stuff like that. That was Peggy Paddock's maiden name, I believe, was Okamoto. And I believe that was her brother. I kind of looked it up. I believe it's Eric Okamoto. So if you go into that, I mean, just look up Central Park Apartments GP1. And I believe that realtor's name comes up into that. You can do a search for him. And then through there, you can find, because I actually did a video that was private, and I sent it out to a couple people about that. Anyway, so, why the web searches, right? The web searches. That was another big one. Now nobody's fucking watching. Everyone seemed to love the drama, man. When I was talking about drama, everyone jumped in here. So why the web searches? Why does the timeline state that there were searches done? Now here's the this is interesting, right? Why does the timeline state, that there were searches done on the 22nd of September, yet no searches were listed under the actual searches in the report as being performed on that date? That's strange, right? You look at the timeline. If you look at the timeline on the 22nd, it said Paddock did a bunch of fucking internet searches, right? Okay, he did a bunch of internet searches. Where are they? What are they? We don't have that. We don't have that. And when you go into the section that talks about all his internet searches, there's not a single one on the 22nd. Some of those searches are scattered throughout dates, but there's not a single one on the 22nd. So what did he search for on the 22nd? How do you know that? How does the police know that? Where is the evidence for that, right? Now, in the report, there were four laptops, right? Four. And I'm guessing two were Dell E5570s, I believe is the name on them. One was an Asus and one was a Hewlett Packard, right? Hewlett Packard is sitting in 134, hooked up to the webcam. The Asus, I believe, is sitting on the counter in 135, which looks like it was probably hooked up to the peephole camera. We got a Dell E5570, which is sitting up on the bed intact. And then we got a computer that's fucking destroyed that we see the pieces in the trash in a bag on the, in the room. Interesting enough, he did do the search on the 28th for how to take out a hard drive. Now there was a lot of talk about this back in the day, and even me and some people were going back and forth on this for a while. He did the search on the 28th, I believe. So on the 28th, he was in Mesquite and he went to the gun range, right? So originally a lot of people were thinking that, oh, well, he went and he shot the shit out of this hard drive and dumped it at the, the gun range was also a landfill, dumped it out there somewhere. Problem with that is, if that's the case, then why the fuck did he bring this laptop back to the Mandalay Bay? Because we see the components of this broken laptop in the Mandalay Bay. That makes no sense. That tells me that this laptop was taken apart at the Mandalay Bay. When was it taken apart at the Mandalay Bay? That is a problem, right? Because the bag that we see the trash from that laptop in, the pieces of that laptop in, that bag was brought up on the 30th. So, that little white bag. That was brought up according to the video released by New York Times. That bag was brought up on the 30th. So when did he take that computer apart? Was that was that on the 28th and he just held on to the pieces until the 30th and threw it in the trash? Was it done after that time? That's kind of an interesting question. But we have two laptops that we have the internet searches for, and God, let me go look at it real quick. Let me dig this up. And sorry for this. This is I should have been a little more prepared, but let's see. So cell phones. There's the cell phones, right? So 3 cell phones were located, and it just tells the numbers. Doesn't tell what kind of cell phones they actually were here. Yeah. Okay. So I just want to see what computers were actually. Okay. So evidence from Dell laptop computer recovered from 32-135. All right. So we got all the internet searches. There's no searches here for the 22nd. There's searches here for the 23rd. So did these fucking assholes get their dates mixed up on this, or did he actually do some internet searches on 22nd? Because according to the timeline, he did internet searches on 22nd. So what the fuck is that about? Then you have Google Maps, browser archives for the Hewlett Packard laptop computer recovered from 134. So Hewlett Packard, we have the evidence for that. We have the evidence for the Dell laptop that's sitting on the bed, I'm guessing. But we don't have anything for the Acer laptop that's sitting up on the counter. Is that where the searches were done for the 22nd? And if that's the case, why are they not in the evidence log here, part of this final report? It's nowhere. They talk about 2 computers. This guy had 4 computers up there. One was busted up. So, they're not going to have any evidence on that. But why do we only have 2 of the computers here? Why is that Acer not in this report? But we do have the Hewlett Packard and we have the Dell in this report. So that's to me that's interesting, right? But yet we do have them stating that there were internet searches done on 22nd. So those internet searches done on the 22nd, was it possible? Was that where they got the evidence for? Did that evidence come from the Acer laptop? And where is that evidence? Why aren't they showing it to us? So that's another issue. It's another issue I have with a lot of what's going on here. So I already went into the hard drive. Why did he remove the hard drive? When did he do it? Where is this hard drive? Because obviously he did do it at the Mandalay Bay. I mean, as far as I'm concerned. Otherwise, he's a fucking dipshit for bringing a broken laptop all the way to the Mandalay Bay for no fucking reason. I don't see that as being a thing. But yeah. So where can we find the laptop? It's a big blue duffel bag. Now, this is something I don't hear anybody really talking about here. The big blue duffel bag that's sitting in front of the doorway to 134. It's in room 135, but it's sitting in front of that doorway next to the fucking 2 bags with the vibrators in them. There's a big blue duffel bag there, right? And it's interesting because I was looking at this the other day, and I know in the report I think it says there's blankets. Oh man, JB, what's up, dude? No, I remember we talked about that, man. He didn't destroy the shooting range. If he destroyed the shooting range, then why did he bring it back to the Mandalay Bay? Because that was that same day. Because we're accepting that this guy didn't know how to take the hard drive out. Well, all right. So let's go into that, man. Let's talk about that. What if the E5570, which the E5570, I believe, is the laptop, because I kind of looked up the model. It looks the same. Also, this guy had tape over all his cameras on his laptops too. If you look at the pictures, you can see that. So the guy was a little paranoid. The computer sitting on top of the bed, I believe, is an E5570. I believe they even said it in the report that it's an E5570. He looked up how to remove the hard drive from an E5570. And I believe he looked that up on the actual E5570. And we can check that right now. We can get receipts for that right now. Let's see. Where's the hard drive located on E5570? Yeah, E5570. Now, this is from the Computer Forensic Analysis of Dell Laptop Model E5570. So he looked up on that laptop how to take the hard drive out of that laptop. Now, either this guy had 2 of the same laptops, or he never took the hard drive out of the E5570. Now, the E5570, I looked this up. It's kind of a pain in the ass to take those hard drives out. It's really stupid because you actually have to take the entire laptop basically apart to take that thing out, which I don't know. I'm used to the old laptops, back in the day when you could just slide that son of a bitch right out of the front, 4 screws and it's out. But it seems that's not the case so much anymore. But yeah, where's the hard drive located in E5570? It's fucking smack dab in the middle of that damn system. So you have to take the whole thing apart to get to it. But he looked up this, he did this search on an E5570. So let's say that wasn't the laptop. Let's say he never took the laptop, the hard drive out. We're all we're all guessing that just because he did this search, he actually took the hard drive out of an E5570. Now, I could be wrong, but I don't think they ever explained what the broken ass laptop is. Now, if somebody can correct me on that, that'd be great. But I don't believe 4 laptop computers and 3 cell phones were located in the room. Yeah, that's all it says. 4 laptops. So what were the other laptops, right? I believe later it says that there's an Acer. So I'll have to check on this. It might be in the evidence that the one that was broken up, that was bashed up, does have a tag to it saying that it was an E5570. But let's say that this guy never took the hard drive out of this E5570. Let's say, for instance, that broken ass computer he has there, the hard drive that he took out was a different system completely. Let's say it was a fucking Hewlett Packard or something. I don't know. And that this search was done to take the hard drive out of this computer specifically. And for some reason, he had never actually done it, because we do have, searches on this computer. So we do know that had a hard drive. I don't know, man. I don't know what could have been on the hard drive. But like, imagine he had another computer. He took the hard drive out of that computer. Now that is a possibility that he went to the landfill and he shot that son of a bitch up. That is possible. I mean, like you said, we're sitting here looking at the evidence saying, well, there's a broken computer in this room, or busted up computer in this room missing a hard drive. And we have this internet search on the 28th saying, where's the hard drive located on E5570, which is a Dell computer. We're all taking, for granted that these two correlate together, and that he actually took the hard drive out of an E5570. Again, I'd have to look at the evidence logs, man, to see what the actual busted up computer was, because that's not something I was ready to talk about here. But yeah, I don't know what could have been on the hard drive, man. Think about it. Like, footage. I don't know. Maybe maybe that held his cameras for a security system. Maybe his maybe his manifesto was on that hard drive, man. He decided he didn't like it anymore and decided to scrap the manifesto. I don't fucking know. That's crazy. That's a little fucking loopy. Maybe all his business dealings, man. Because think about it. What did this guy do to make all this money? What the hell did this guy do to make all this fucking money? This guy only had $500,000 in the bank, and according to I would say according to, I think it was Eric Paddock or whatever, that said this guy would gamble $100,000 in a night. Well, when you only got $500,000 in the bank, $100,000 is gonna hurt. That's a huge fucking chunk of change out of your bank account. Yeah, you're right. I don't, if he had another computer at the home Mesquite, which I think he did, that would probably, okay, so he took the hard drive out and destroyed it at the line. Yeah, but then the computer would be on the evidence logs of the home in Mesquite. Now I have to look into that again. I'll be honest with you, I lost the evidence logs. I got to bug LVSA or somebody about that again, because when my phone, crashed, last year, I lost a lot of that stuff as far as the links go to it and stuff like that. Actually, I had them all in iBooks, and they're all gone now. So a lot of this stuff I'm having to re-download, find it again. I think that archive website sucks ass, because it's very hard to find anything on that unless you actually have a link to get to it. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, it's crazy, man. Like, yeah, what could have been on the hard drive, man? I think we used to talk about that back in the day, man. What he left child porn supposedly on one of these hard drives, and look, so several hundred in child pornography. The child pornography was on the Dell E5570, man. Maybe he wanted to get rid of this fucking hard drive out of this Dell computer that was sitting on the bed for that reason, man. They had the child porn on it. Maybe he was thinking about it, he just never did it. Maybe he just didn't give a shit. You imagine Oh my God. Let's go conspiracy, man. Let's go conspiracy because I'm kind of done with, what I was going to talk about here for the most part. Um, let's go conspiracy here. What if this guy, was under investigation for this child porn shit? What if there was some funny business going on and this guy was about to go to fucking jail, and or he just got paranoid that he was going to get fucked with about this, and maybe that's where taking out this hard drive came into place, but instead something snapped in this fucking guy's head and he figured, fuck it, I go out in a blaze of glory. I don't know, just stupid shit that I'm coming up with off the top of my head right now. So yeah, but like the real estate, I don't think the real estate, a lot of that stuff was old school, man. That was, I know he'd been doing it up until recently, but he wasn't making, at this point, the housing market had crashed, in California, which is where most of his property was. It crashed in recent years. I don't remember what year they said he started gambling. He started getting into that, but and I agree, laundering money. That's one of the things that always kind of stuck out in my head is it sounds like this guy's laundering money through a casino, because you don't win in a casino. That's not what they're in the business for. If everybody won in a casino, if there was a way to win in a casino, you wouldn't have casinos. They would all be broke. And, you can win short term, but, the whole idea behind a casino having a 90% payout for high rollers is you're going to play that game so much that 10% is eventually going to bankrupt you. Yeah, it's hard to find shit on Archive. That Archive site drives me fucking nuts, especially since that's where everything's at. But that's kind of crazy. So that's something that just came to mind, man. What if that hard drive was? What if you never took out the hard drive from the E5570 and this search right here is fucking invalid? Doesn't matter. The hard drive you took out was something else. Then that makes it possible that hard drive could have made it to the landfill and been shot to shit. That is a possibility. I would think no. You know what? If that's the case, you're probably never going to find that motherfucker. I would think. So that's that's something. But the thing about that big blue duffel that I didn't make it to, there's a wire coming out of that thing. And I don't think anyone's ever really talked about that. I don't think everyone's ever really looked at it. I don't think anyone ever really cared. But there's like a wire coming out of that. And I don't think we have anything on that. I mean, a third vibrator, I doubt it. I think in the report it says that basically that duffel bag had blankets and towels in it, which I'm guessing is what he wrapped all the ammunition in or something like that, so it didn't rattle around so much. There's like a wire coming out of the side of that, and I don't think anyone's ever explained that shit. So that to me that's another one of those things that's interesting. But again, the phones, the computers, the computers, we have one computer we have no evidence on, but apparently it looks like they have the computer because, where else are they getting these internet searches for the 22nd? There's nowhere, those searches don't come from anywhere. So, but they state in the timeline that he did a bunch of internet searches on the 22nd. Now, I will say this, man, the timeline part of this investigation, the timeline part of this report is broken. It's broken in a lot of areas. I mean, I already talked about Campos, and that part of the timeline being broken. But this timeline in a lot of places makes zero sense. Hunter hit on that in his last video there, where you got the guy driving 115 miles an hour down the fucking freeway in a car that barely does 115 miles an hour. It's like tops out at 115 miles an hour. And, and that's probably on a test track, not on, a freaking highway with traffic, and bumps and all kinds of crazy shit. You go to 100, you get to 115 miles an hour. I mean, most people probably have at this point, but you get a car up to 115 miles an hour, man. Every bump in that road, you feel it. It feels like a fucking boulder, man. You get airborne off the littlest fucking things. And I've looked up a drive from Mesquite to Las Vegas, and it's a bumpy road, man. That's no joke. There's a lot of little land bridges and all kinds of weird shit that you go over, and yeah, that camera that in that video is bouncing around quite a bit. So I don't believe that. I think Hunter's onto something there. I don't believe the whole timeline on that, but I think a lot of what we're seeing with stuff like that, I think that's a problem with the broken timeline. I think whoever wrote this timeline is kind of a mess. Yeah, yeah, the way they dealt with those wires was that was interesting. I mean, they straight up went and checked the vibrators. I mean, no fear, man. These SWAT guys with a bunch of police and a bunch of civilians in that building. Yeah, they straight up went and opened those things up, because we hear it in the breach video. They went and checked them out. That's kind of crazy. That's fucking nuts. And I mean, they didn't even unplug them, right? I mean, they left them plugged in. I guess, if it's a bomb, I guess you would. I don't fucking know. I don't know much about bomb disposal and shit. But yeah, that was interesting, right? They left the vibrators plugged in. They went and basically just opened those cases in the middle of the night and checked them while this was going on. Anyway, so that's about all I have for this right now. I just wanted to go over some of the bullshit that I was questioning. I didn't mean to get sidetracked, derailed on all the drama and all that stuff, but whatever. I think some people found it entertaining because everyone started watching once I did that, so that's fine. But anyways, I think that's about it. I think I'm going to do a video in the next couple of days. I'll probably do just a video where I'll do some graphics and some visuals, because I mean, the screen sharing thing, I don't know if I really want to get into that and figure all that out, because it seems like everybody has problems with that when they do it. But I think I do want to actually go over the video that was done with the video that was done with, the New York Times and all this sort of stuff, with Paddock physically walking through the casino, and go over a lot of that and explain, where I see issues with that, where I think there are problems with that. Because actually being in that hotel, there's a couple things that stuck out on me in that, where it just doesn't really seem to make a lot of sense. And one of them is, again, where do you check in? I couldn't find that area. Couldn't find that fucking area. I don't know where the fuck he was in that. I was thinking he's in another hotel. They took footage out of another hotel. I started looking, man. I couldn't find it. It was an interesting looking room. And then a couple of the other ones. Like I said, when he goes into the parking garage, there's a couple of instances where I think the narrator of that video says the wrong thing, where he was leaving the parking garage or he's coming from the parking garage. But then again, I have to look at timestamps. Maybe they just fucked up and they got it wrong. Maybe there's nothing more than they just got the footage backwards. And then stuff like that. So one thing that stuck out to me was they show him in the elevator going down to the parking garage in two different instances, two different elevators, because there are two there. One of the elevators you can see pretty clear. It just looks like, regular camera. The second time we see him in the elevator, I believe is the second time, it's circular. There's like an outline, kind of like a border kind of thing around the around the camera. So that to me, that was a little strange. Why would they add that in? Because that's not the one, those cameras, to my memory, because I remember taking pictures of both those cameras, um, or at least I looked at them. I think I have pictures of them somewhere. But both those cameras were the same to uh, to my knowledge. So there shouldn't be really any, there should be that kind of discrepancy. They're not like ball cameras, if I remember right. Those were the square ones, the square boxes. Um, with the square, viewing area there, viewing port, whatever you want to call it. So they should look same, I would think, but they didn't. Not in that footage. It looks like they did some alterations on that stuff on a couple of places, especially the darkness with the where he's in the hallway. But they could have done that just to obscure some of the people, that were in that hallway with him. Anyways, I'm going to cut this off here. I don't know. I got to get this thing back up and running, man. This computer's going to give me problems all night. Watch it crash right now. So I won't be able to get off. But yeah, I think I went over most of what I had to deal with here, what I had planned. But yeah, thanks for coming by, Let's see. And I'm trying to cut this off. I said, and I guess I don't have to do my little outro I've been doing because that shit's all pretty much over. I don't think. I like how I was doing that most of that was a test. I was doing that as a test, and I know some people went way over their fucking heads and they started arguing with me in comments of what I was doing there, but that was a test, and my channel's still here. So apparently they don't give a shit about people with very, very limited subs and views. But I was just kind of curious if my channel would get nixed for doing the YouTube no-nos. But apparently it didn't. And like I said, it went over some people's heads, which I thought was kind of funny, actually. Anyways, I'm done with this. Thanks for coming by. And talk to everyone on the next one.